We will go ahead and get started. Our movement will start on our backs, so you can decide if you just want to lay down while I'm talking a little bit, or if you want to sit with me to tune into your breath. But we've been talking about faith this month, and just want to share a really short verse from Proverbs. Where there is no vision, the people perish. That's Proverbs 29:18. What does this have to do with faith? Faith is believing in things that we can't see but are true. And our vision, our internal seeing, is a big part of faith and the creative power of faith, the hope and love that are inextricably linked to faith. So as we go through our practice today, I want you to think about what it is that you see, the power of visualizing things, and the power of the focus of your attention and vision as we move through our practice. And we'll do some things that will take some focus, that will take some vision, some premeditated seeing of where it is that we're going. So whether you're sitting or whether you are laying down, I just invite you to close your eyes, bring your awareness to your breath, and just really let yourself get into your body this morning. And I want you to bring to mind your future self, just the you that has completed this yoga practice. And how is it that you feel? How does your body feel? How does your breath feel? How does your mind feel? See if you can see and experience that ahead of time. If you're seated, make your way to the floor and just kind of keep that vision in mind. Vision of you and what it is that you've created by this practice, just you at the end of the practice. Bring your hands to your low belly and just feel the motion of your abdomen as you breathe. Let your lowest ribs expand into the floor. Just feel the back of your pelvis on the floor, a natural space under your lower back. And see if you can hold that vision and sense as we start to move here. Just finding some gentle pelvic rocks. So lift your hip points, really push your tailbone and pubic bone toward the floor, exaggerate your lower back curve, and then switch that. Just push your lower back into the floor, lift your tailbone up. And go at your own pace. Just let this be connected with your breath in a way that feels really intuitive, but just rocking back and forth with your pelvis. And after you've done that a few times, find a neutral place on the back of your pelvis and then just kind of rock it from side to side. So without moving your feet anywhere, kind of feel like you're pulling your right knee toward you and your left knee away from you, and then just switch. Left knee toward you, right knee away from you, and just kind of let your pelvis rock there on the back. So you can even think of kind of like drawing alternate circles with your knees. So your knees might sway a little bit as your pelvis sways. Or you can even think of on the floor with your pelvis, you're kind of drawing a figure 8 there on the floor. Just finding some really subtle, gentle movement there in your pelvis. And then see if you can kind of switch the directions of that, of your knee circles, your little figure 8 on the floor. And then find stillness there. Settle your low ribs into the floor. And then we'll lift into a few rounds of sequential bridge, just really thinking about lifting one vertebrae at a time. So really press your lower back vertebrae into the floor as you lift your tailbone. And then just in your mind, use that power of visualization to lift one vertebrae at a time. So just notice how much engagement it takes in that low belly to try to lift those lower back vertebrae. And if you find a place that's sticky, that's kind of hard to really feel the one vertebrae at a time, then just kind of go back and forth in that place as you lift. You don't have to come up high. And then pause at the top. And then just one vertebrae at a time, see if you can come down slowly. And really think about getting that lower back down sequentially, one at a time. Just go at your own pace, seeing in your mind's eye your vertebrae one at a time, using that power of vision and visualization. Right. We can really even play with that principle of faith here because you can't see your vertebrae. They're hidden inside of your body, right? But you can experience them, right? You have evidence that they exist. And you can feel them, you can use them. Let's do one more round there. That's super slow, sequential lifting up. And gradually make your way down. And then hug both of your knees into your chest. You can find a little rock from side to side. Bring your right hand to just to touch the front of your right thigh, and then wrap your left hand around the top of your left shin, kind of by your knee. And then resist your hands and your legs into each other. So you're going to push your right hand into that right thigh. And you might even kind of straighten out that right arm as you push your right thigh into your right hand. And the same, you're going to pull your left hand into your left shin, and you're going to push your shin into your hand. And just isometrically with all of your might there, push, and then just switch. So you'll take this right hand above at the top of your shin, left hand in front of your thigh, and then push. And just go back and forth there with your breath. And just pushing, resisting hands into legs there. And one more time on each side. And then just keep a hold of that right knee in towards your chest and let your left foot come down, just knee bent. And then you could use your right hand to kind of steer this right knee in circles. So you're moving from your hip and not rocking, just stirring that knee. And then you can switch directions. And then let go and just find those circles with your knee on its own. Around. And just let them get as big as you can control while keeping that left side of your pelvis on the ground. When your knee comes back to center, just straighten that leg up toward the ceiling. Really push up through that right heel and lengthen through the back of that right leg. Find the natural curve under your lower back. Low ribs on the floor, back of your pelvis on the floor. And then just find some ankle circles a couple of times there. And then bend that heel towards your bum and lengthen your leg up. Just 3 times. Bend and straighten. Bend and straighten. And then bend that knee and externally rotate that knee out to the right. And then bring your right ankle, cross it over your left knee, and then bring it out. So we're kind of finding a figure 4 without connecting our ankle to our knee. We're just moving here, right knee out to the right, and then cross it over. Right knee out to the right, and then cross your ankle over that left thigh. Let's do it one more time. And now you can cross that ankle over and just leave it there. Energetically push that right knee away from you, flex through your right foot, ground through that left heel, and lift into a bridge here. And then come down, and we'll just come up and down like 4 or 6 times. Just kind of listen to your body. Pushing through that left heel. You can be light on your left toes. And trying to keep your pelvis level. And after you've done those, just come down and release. Left knee into your chest. You can use that left hand and just steer it in circles. Go one direction a few times, and then you can switch directions. Just kind of passively stirring in that hip socket, and then just use your muscular strength to move that knee in circles on your own. And switch directions after you've gone a few times one way. Let this get as big as you can control. And then lengthen that left leg up toward the ceiling. And find some ankle circles. One way and then the other. And then just bend and straighten that leg. Really bend and really straighten. Low ribs are on the floor. The back of your pelvis is on the floor. And, you may not be able to see there's a space under your lower back, but it's just a natural curve. Okay, bend into that left knee and then externally rotate it out to the left. And then you're going to take that ankle past your right thigh and then bring that knee back out to the left. And see if you can do it without touching your thigh with your foot. Really externally rotating that left hip. Do that one more time. And then cross your left ankle over your right knee, and you can rest there. Energetically push that left knee away from you. Draw your shoulder blades together, root down into that right heel and lift your hips up and then lower. Really pushing into that right heel. Lift and lower. Lift and lower. Lift. Be done, or you can do two more. Really pushing into that right heel. Hips are level with each other. And then release. And hug your knees into your chest again. And then we'll roll over onto our right side. Just let your arms be in front of you. Knees are just bent comfortably. And then take that left arm. I've got this stuff in the way. And just bring your fingertips overhead. Let them be on the floor as much as they can. And then open up into a big twist. And then circle that left hand alongside your left hip back to where you started. Just do some circles here. Big circles of that arm. You can let yourself open into a twist and then come back. This time we're going to open into our twist and just pause there for a second. And then bend through your left elbow, bring the back of your left hand to your lower back, and then roll onto your back with that left hand palm face down, and you're kind of laying on it. Relax into that left shoulder. You could bend that elbow a little more and bring your left hand up toward your right shoulder blade, maybe. And maybe you drop those knees over to the left. You just kind of listen to what feels friendly to your shoulder or your elbow. If your knees are over to the side, bring them back up. Unwind that arm from underneath you. Bring it out to the left. Roll over onto your left side. We'll do the same thing on the other side. So take those right fingertips, just sweep them overhead. And then out to the side. So feel your shoulder blade, your chest, all involved in this. Just making big sweeping circles and having those right fingertips on the floor as much as possible. The next time your right arm comes out to the right, just let yourself pause there in a big open twist. Just find that line. Feels like a good opening through your inner arm or shoulder. And then we'll find that same stretch for our shoulder. So bring the back of your right hand to your lower back and then roll onto your back and just lay on that arm. You can experiment with the bend in your shoulder. Just find something that feels, like a stretch, but friendly. You can feel some sensation there. And if it feels good, you can drop your knees to the right. Just one more breath. Knees up, unthread that arm out from underneath you. You can kind of give yourself a little bit of a shake. And then hug your thighs or your knees. We're going to rock up into a table. Your forearms on the floor, hips over knees, and then just stretch your arms out long. Lift your elbows up and bring your chin or your forehead toward the floor. And just stretch long through the outer edge of your arms and shoulders, the fronts of your shoulders, in a puppy pose. And then we'll come into more of a table. So your elbows can be underneath your shoulders, but your forearms on the floor. And shrug your shoulder blades together and then push your elbows into the floor and let your shoulder blades come apart. Try to keep your pelvis and your lower back pretty still here as you just draw your shoulder blades together and push them apart. And shoulder blades together and push them apart. Now bring your shoulder blades together and then see if you can push them down your back and then let them come wide. See if you can shrug them up by your ears. Shoulder blades together, push them down your back, shoulder blades wide, up toward your ears. So do that direction, kind of making a circle here. Trying just to move your shoulder blades. And right, that will move your whole shoulder. But see if you can initiate it from that back body. Okay, now let's start with our shoulder blades down and wide, and then bring them together. Shrug toward your ears, and then let them come wide up at the top. Down, together, up, apart, down, together, up, apart. You might feel one side's different than the other. And then see if you can find a neutral place. You can kitty corner your left forearm. Just bring your right hand behind your head and open up into a twist. Lift that elbow up and then bring your elbow toward your left elbow. So we're just really isolating this twist into our thoracic spine, our rib cage spine. Just elbow to elbow and then elbow out. Elbow to elbow and elbow out. And just release that and we'll switch sides. Left hand behind your head and then open that left elbow out to the left. So this won't be a big, huge twist. That's fine. We're just trying to isolate it into the thoracic spine. Just do that 2 more times. Bring your forearm down, come up to a regular table. Play with your wrists here. So you can lift your palms, turn your hands out, lift, and kind of go all directions. Maybe even turn your fingers towards you. And then sit your hips towards your heels, but let your arms be straight out in front of you. Ground your palms and then lift just your fingers and then tap them down. This is really hard for me. But try to keep your palms down and your thumbs down. You're just going to lift your 4 fingers and just tap them. And keep your arms straight as you rock forward and see how forward you can come, keeping your fingers tapping and your arms straight. I can't come very far forward. But just keep tapping. See if you can tap. So you're not lifting your whole palm, you're just lifting at the knuckles. And then release. And shake it out. Bring the backs of your hands to the floor. Bring your arms towards straight. You can sway from side to side. And then undo your hands, step your right foot forward. And just find a low lunge here with your hands down. If you need blocks, I forgot to say at the beginning, we're going to use a block if in this practice if you have one. So if you need blocks on your hands so this isn't overtaxing your lower back, use blocks. But I just want you to find some circles with your hips here, and also think of kind of circling your knee around. Just juicing up in this lunge. And then find stillness and just lift your heel up off the floor. Ground your heel, and then draw your right outer hip back to bring that leg towards straight and flex your foot. And just go back and forth here. So bend into that knee, lift your heel, ground, and rock back. Now, if your grounded knee gets sensitive here, you can always put a blanket or something underneath it, a folded towel. Just kind of get into that foot. Feel your calf and your hamstring. Come forward into your lunge. And now bring your awareness to this back leg. Just bend your knee and bring your heel toward your bum, and then release. And then do that 3 more times. Bend and release. And release. Use that hamstring strength and release. And then plant your hands. We'll just step back into downward facing dog. Lengthen. Check it out, the difference from one side to the other. You can pedal your feet out. Feel the opening and strength that we've created in our upper body. Create some strength and length through your legs. And then bring your knees down, step that left foot forward, and we'll do those same lunges. So just find some circles here. You can circle through your hips, and even think about staying grounded through that foot, but finding some circles of your knee. And then find stillness there. Lift that left heel and then ground it. Bring your hips back, straighten that front leg, and flex your foot. And just rock back and forth there. And you can always pad that right knee with a folded blanket or something if you need to. I don't know about you guys, but the lower body stuff we did last week, my hamstrings are kind of sore and tight. Let's do that one more time. And come forward. Find your low lunge. Keep your hands grounded, and then just bring that right heel toward your bum and lengthen it out. One more. And then release, plant your hands. Step back into downward facing dog. You can pedal out your legs again. And then see if you can find stillness through your legs, maybe even just a little tiny bend in your knees. And then lift your toes, really turn on the fronts of your legs. Drop your heels toward the floor, lengthen through the backs of your Achilles tendons and your calves. Find some external rotation of your upper arms. Feel like you're squeezing your hands toward each other. And then pushing the floor away, lengthening through your outer armpits. Soften your knees, look up at the top of your mat, and just take a walk up to the top of your mat. Inhale, find a halfway lift, find a little bend in your knees, really turn on your whole back body and your hamstrings. And then exhale, let yourself fold. Do that 2 more times. Inhale, find that strength, find a flat spine, reach your heart forward, lengthen through the crown of your head. Turn on the backs of your legs, feel that strength in your hamstrings even as you fold. And one more time. Halfway up, and then let yourself bow. Inhale up to standing. And find a block if you have one. You can do this without a block, or maybe you could take what you're watching over to a stair. But a block will be the easiest, or a stool, a little stool. We're going to stand on our block with our right foot. I'm actually going to face you for a second so you can see. So I'm going to stand just on my right foot. And then I'm going to just float my left foot up off the floor. So my pelvis is staying level here. And then just let your left leg just kind of swing back and forth. So firm this right outer hip in, and left leg just swings. And let yourself balance. If you need to use a wall or something, you can move to the wall. Okay, and now let's see if you can draw some circles. Notice what happens to your balance. Draw circles the other way. And then just bend into that right knee. We're going to take a big step back into a high lunge with our foot on our block, if you've got a block. Engage through that left glute and just reach your left arm up. And then find a little side bend over to your left. And come on up. We're going to come back up to standing on that right foot. So just find your balance, stand up on that right foot. Keep your feet level with each other. And now we're going to let our right hip swing out as your left hip comes toward the floor. Left. And then, so we're going to keep that right leg straight as you lower and lift. So you're just moving from this right outer hip. Now, if you are doing this just on the floor, it's just going to be tiny, but you're just moving here at your pelvis. But enjoy the power you have in that right hip. Let's do 2 more. And then we'll again step back with that right foot into a high lunge with your foot on your block. Lift that left arm up, and you can find your little bit of a side bend here. And then bring your left hand outside your right knee, or left elbow outside your right knee. Have your right hand on your sacrum or hands together. And just find a twist here. Keep that right knee bent, stacked over your ankle. Enjoy the length through that outer right hip. And then release. You bring your hands to the floor and just step that right foot back into a downward facing dog. Walk your hands back towards your feet. Take your feet about as wide as your mat, toes out, heels in, and then just sit down into a low squat. Any amount in your heels can be up on this first one. Just sway from side to side. Feel the difference from one hip to the other. And then go ahead. Push into your heels. Come up to standing. And take a walk up to the top of your mat. We'll do all that on the other side. So stand with your left foot on your block. And then just float that right foot up off the floor. If you're standing on the floor, you're just gonna kind of float that right foot up off the floor and find your little swings forward and back. And really just letting this right leg be like a pendulum. And then maybe draw some circles. And use your focus and your vision to help you maintain your balance. And switch directions with your circles. And then keeping that right foot on your block, we're just going to step back into a high lunge. Engage through that right glute. Reach your right arm up. And then you can find a little side bend over to your left. And release your hand. We're going to come standing on that right foot again. Your left foot, sorry. Your right foot's hovering. And then you can let your left hip swing out to the left as you drop that right foot toward the floor with a straight left leg. Push your outer hip in to lift your right foot back up. And just go back and forth there. So your right hip is dropping, left hip swaying out. This is our hip list. And feel those glute muscles working on that outer left hip. And just keep going. Let's do 3 more. And then again, step that right foot back. Find your high lunge with your foot on your block. Reach your right arm up and find your little side bend to the left. And then right hand or elbow comes outside that left knee. Your left hand can be on your sacrum or hands together. And just find your twist here. And look down at the floor. Plant your hands. This part is tricky with your hands down. Get that left foot up off your block. And step back into a downward facing dog. And pedal out your legs. And feel your shoulders. Feel some stability through your hands. And then walk your hands back toward your feet. And turn your toes out a little bit. Come down into your squat. And you can rock from side to side. And then from here, we're going to come down into kneeling. Just bring your knees to the floor and come upright. And you can let the tops of your feet be on the floor. We're going to take our right foot forward, pushing my block out of the way, into a 90-degree angle low lunge here. And then just come up onto the ball of that right foot and find a drishti, find something to focus on. Really feel the top of that left foot on the floor. And then see if you can float those right toes up off the floor. And just find your balance here. I'm going to float this right foot and ground it in line with your left knee. So we're in our tandem kneel. And just feel your balance here again. And then come up onto the ball of that foot. So you can float those right toes up off the floor again. Find your balance. And slowly come back to your kneeling. So you'll keep floating this leg until you bring that right knee in line with your left knee. And then bring your right knee down. Just feel your hips and all that stability around your hips. Okay, step your left foot forward. So you're just in a 90-degree lunge on each side. And then float your left heel up off the floor. Really ground into that right shin, right top of your foot. And then see if you can float those left toes up off the floor. And we're just playing, right? We're giving our nervous system some information. And wobbling is totally fine. Feel everything that turns on to help you balance. And then we'll float that left foot and ground it in line with our right knee. And see if you can find your balance here. And then float onto your toes. See if you can float this up. It's harder for me on this side. And then we're going to slowly go back to kneeling. So bring that knee out to the side. Wrap it around. Let it float by your right knee. And then down. You can find a child's pose to find some space through your hips, or downward facing dog, whatever would feel good in your body. And pedal out. Sway from side to side. And then walk your hands back toward your feet. And find a standing forward fold at the back of your mat. Slight bend in your knees. So even here, as we're lengthening through your hamstrings, they're turned on. Look forward and then come up to standing. Find your block. And we're just going to play with our blocks a little bit. So just find your balance on your right foot and just float your left foot up off the floor. And hinge at your hips. We're just going to I've got the block in my right hand. We're just going to come down and just place the block on the floor and then come back up to standing. Now we're going to pick the block up with our left hand. So fold forward, pick the block up, and come on back up to standing. And now fold forward and place your block in a totally different place with that left hand and come back up to standing. And now with your right hand, pick up your block from that different place and come up to standing. And now just keep going. You're going to switch off hands and just putting your block in different places. And let it be challenging. Use your vision, right, as you place the block down and then pick it up with the other hand. And let's go one more time, ending with the block in your left hand. My right foot's cramping. Come up to standing and then release and shake it out. I'm going to do that on the other side. So now the block is in your left hand. Balance on that left foot and just float that right leg up. Hinge at your hips to fold and place that block down on the floor with your left hand. Come back up to standing. And then fold, pick the block up with your right hand and come on up. And then place the block down with your right hand in a different place and come on up. And then pick the block up with your left hand. If you don't have a block, right, you're really going to use that imagination as you're coming down and just have an imaginary block. Just reaching for that same spot with your opposite hand. Let's do one more time, ending with picking it up with the right hand. Right, and it's our vision and our focus that helps us keep our balance. Go ahead and release that right leg down. Sway from side to side. Maybe find some hip circles here. And then come to the top of your mat and just set your block off to the side. And bring your weight down into that right foot and lift your left knee. I'm going to face you. Lift your left knee and bring it out to the side. So you've got this external rotation. I want you to not use your hands. So we kind of played with this when we were laying down. And bring your heel across your knee and then out. Just do that a couple of times. Engaging through that right outer hip. Now we'll find a tree pose. So bring that left inner foot to your right inner leg. So no pressure on your knee joint, but see if you can do it without using your hands wherever you put it. And feel that one leg push into the other leg. Enjoy your balance. Maybe reach your branches high. And then release. Just shake it out. And we'll do the other side. So ground into that left foot. And engage through that left outer hip with that glute med and all of that around your hip that we turned on. Float that right knee up. And then externally rotate to the side. So you're not turning your whole body, just bringing that knee out as far as your hip will allow. And then bend deeply through your knee and just cross that ankle in front and back out. So my ankle's not touching my left leg. It's just moving back and forth. And then find that tree pose. See if you can do it without using your hands. So below your knee or above your knee. Using that active strength. Engaging through that left outer hip. Maybe grow your branches. See if you can keep those low ribs softening down. And then release. Shake it out. We're going to play with one more balance here. So ground down into that right foot. And this time just bend your left knee. You can reach back with that left hand and grab your left foot or ankle. Both knees are pointing down toward the floor. And then we'll move into dancer pose. And you can use a soft bend in this right knee just to be able to turn on that muscular strength. As you kick your foot into your hand and your hand into your foot, you can reach right arm forward for a counterbalance. Really turn on that left glute. And you've got your heel toward your bum. See if you can energetically hold on to that and release your hand and just float. And then step back into a high lunge. Reach both arms high. And then release your hands. Straighten both legs as you turn to the left and parallel your feet. Feel like you're sending your inner groin back as you reach with your heart to fold forward. Just stop halfway down and just feel some length through the backs of your legs, and then you can let yourself fold. And breathe some length into your hamstrings after all of that effort. Maybe rocking your pelvis from side to side a little bit. You can bend one knee and bend the other. And then just bring your hands to your hips and inhale yourself up to standing. Toe heel those feet together. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. So ground down into that left foot. Bend your right knee and reach for that right ankle or foot. Feel stability through your outer left hip. And then kick that foot into your hand into your foot. And you can reach forward. Engage through that right glute to lift that leg up, any amount. Oh. So we're looking for stability in our balance, right? And you can see where you're going. Turn on the back of that right leg and see if you can keep your heel where it is. Release that right leg. And then step back into your high lunge. Reach your arms high. Just settle in here. And then straighten both legs. Turn to your right, parallel your feet. And find your standing forward fold again. And bring your hands to the floor. And then really just find some fluidity. Right? We've done all of that engagement and strengthening. You can lift your toes. Maybe bend one knee and then the other. But find some freedom and fluidity in this forward fold. And then let yourself just find some stillness. Walk your hands over toward your left foot. And then you can grab your outer left ankle with your right hand. Find a little bend in that right elbow, or even your outer right calf or outer right knee. And you can reach your left arm up toward the ceiling. Maybe gaze toward the ceiling. Just find a twist here. And then unwind and do the other side. Just walk your hands over to that right foot. And grab your outer right ankle or calf. And then you can float your right arm up toward the ceiling. And then release. Soft bend in your knees. Bring your hands to your hips. Come up to standing. Toe heel your feet together. And shake it out. And we'll come down onto our backs. Just walk up to the top of your mat. Bend your knees. And just make your way all the way down to your back. And I've got a strap I'm going to use. We're just going to stretch our hamstrings after all of that engagement and work. So if you have a strap, grab a strap or a tie or a hand towel, but you can always just use your hands if that's what you've got. So lay yourself down and just kind of the same thing we did at the beginning of class. Just feel your pelvis grounded. You can rock and windshield wiper your knees from side to side. Find a little bit bigger rocks here. And then just bring your right knee in towards your chest. Loop your strap around the ball of your foot and let your arms be straight as they grab it. And then just let your arms hang in their sockets. And then let that right leg go straight. Feel the natural curves of your spine. And if you can maintain that natural lower back curve, back of your pelvis on the floor, you can straighten your left leg. If you feel that, really push your lower back down and lift your tailbone up, then keep that left knee bent. But just now, see if you can let go of all the effort in that right hamstring, calf, the whole right back of your leg, and just let it stretch. And you You can let your breath really calm down and get long. Your exhales, maybe even twice as long as your inhales. And then we'll take both lengths of your strap into your right hand. Just bring your left hand to the front of your left hip just to keep it grounded. You can slightly turn those right toes out to the right and then open this right leg out to the right. Any amount. So you're not feeling this in your inner knee. It's just a lengthening of your hamstring and your inner thigh. And then come back up to center. Bend that left knee if it was straight. Release your strap and just cross that right ankle over your left knee. And then you can float that left foot up off the floor, maybe interlace hands behind your left thigh, just kind of reaching that right arm through your little triangle window. And find some engagement. Flex both feet. You can rock a little from side to side here. And then release your hands. Just cross this right leg all the way over your left and hug your crossed knees into your chest. You could reach out for ankles and outer feet, or outer feet if that feels good in your hip. Just kind of just listen to that right hip especially. Release your grip. Just let your arms go out to a T and drop these cross legs over to your left. And find a twist. Got my left hand on that right knee, right shoulder toward the floor, and you can just move this right arm to a place that feels like you've got a good line of tension, that feels like a nice stretch. And then come back to center, uncross that right leg, and take your strap over your left foot. And just lengthen. Straight arms, and then just let the weight of your arms hang on your strap. If you can keep your natural curves, you can lengthen that right leg. And let your exhales get long. And return to that vision that you found at the beginning of class. What it is that you would experience when you got to the end. And notice how, with your focus, you created that. Even with the uncertainty of not knowing exactly what it was we would do. That's the power of vision. And that seeing things which are not yet seen is the creative power of faith. And take one more breath here. Long exhale. And then bring both straps into that left hand. Slightly turn those toes out to the left. And then you can drop that leg out to the left. I like to keep my right hand on my right hip just to remind it I'm not rocking over to the left. So your pelvis will stay grounded. Right hip stays down. Long, slow exhales. Come up to center. Bend that right knee if you have it straight, and then cross your left ankle over that right knee. Flex both feet. You can float that right foot off the floor and wrap your hands around the back of that right thigh. You can even reach for your shin if that. I have short arms, so it's just does not work for me, but that may feel really good for you. You can rock from side to side. Just kind of flossing, getting back into that hip that we worked so much. And then release. Your hands, cross that left leg all the way over your right, and then hug those crossed knees into your chest. Or you could reach out for ankles or outer feet. And then release. Let your arms go out to a T. Just drop your cross legs over to your right. And then bring your right hand on that left knee. Let your left shoulder stay grounded. So don't worry too much about getting your left knee to the floor. You could let your gaze go to the left. And then unwind yourself. Come back to center. Hug both knees into your chest. I always like a happy baby at the end. And grab your outer feet. Rock from side to side. Just set your spine up symmetrically. Find any final movements that you feel like you need. And then let yourself lay on your back. Arrange yourself. Rock your head from side to side a little bit. Okay. Rock your feet in and out. Draw your shoulder blades together. Let your heart be open. And take a conscious deep breath in. Let it out as slowly as you can. And then let yourself just be. Without any interference. You can just be an observer of the sensations in your body, of the thoughts that float through your mind. And stay here as long as you possibly can. When you're ready, just find a bend in your knees, roll to one side, make your way to your seat. And just offer some gratitude to your body, to the possibilities of this day, and to the divine. And the divine light in me honors the divine light in you. Namaste.